What if those perfect Korean heartthrobs were keeping secrets that never made it to the cameras? Some of South Korea's biggest stars have lived for years between praise and rumors, mainly about their own sexuality. Today we're going to talk about 5 actors who won over audiences, but who also ended up becoming targets of speculation about possible same-sex relationships and a sensitivity that the public never quite knew how to define. Song Kang didn't need scandals to become one of the most talked about faces of the new generation. He won over audiences in a quiet way, arriving softly. From his first roles, that sweet, almost shy gaze caught attention, but it was only a matter of time before the audience realized there was something different there. His rise happened in just a few years, all during the Netflix era, from shy extra to protagonist of intense and romantic dramas. But as his fame grew, conversations, forums, comments, and theories began to emerge, all trying to understand something that was never said. Was Song Kang's delicacy just part of his art, or a reflection of something more personal? The turning point came in Navalera, when he played a young dancer who dreams of pursuing ballet, a role that, in itself, already broke many masculine stereotypes within the Korean industry. The affectionate relationship with veteran Park In-hwan's character generated scenes of such profound tenderness that the audience didn't remain indifferent. Some saw only a moving story. Others saw there a subtle homo-affective chemistry, impossible to ignore. After that, rumors about Song Kang's sexuality began to grow, not aggressively, but curiously. His way of expressing himself, the gentle gestures, the affection with male colleagues, the complete absence of public relationships, reinforced the mystery. In interview programs, when asked about romance, he responded with ambiguous phrases like, "I'm interested in those who understand my silence." These responses only fueled the speculation even more. Many fans, especially international ones, interpreted this tranquility as a sign that Song Kang perhaps didn't feel the need to deny anything, and that he preferred perhaps to let people think what they want, whether he's gay, heterosexual, or simply someone who doesn't cling to labels. Song Kang seems to have understood something that few Korean artists dare to face: the power of silence. He doesn't deny, doesn't confirm, and perhaps for that very reason, he remains one of the most intriguing figures of the new generation. An enigma that doesn't need explanations, because his sensitivity already speaks for itself. Gong Yoo is the type of man who transcends the title of heartthrob. Since Coffee Prince, he became an icon of modern masculinity, the kind that mixes strength with vulnerability, and for that very reason, for almost 2 decades, has placed him at the center of discussions about gender roles and sexuality. In Coffee Prince, released in the late 2000s, Gong Yoo played a man who falls in love with someone he believes to be another man. And the most striking thing is that he did this without fear, without caricature, and without trying to soften the emotional impact of the story. The drama was a phenomenon and opened space for an unprecedented discussion about homosexual love on Korean television. Since then, Gong Yoo came to be remembered not only as an actor, but as a symbol of ambiguous masculinity, elegant, open, mysterious. Many fans began to speculate about his personal life, especially because he has never publicly acknowledged any romantic relationship. The silence became fuel for rumors that he could be gay, or at least bisexual. In interviews, Gong Yoo always maintained an enigmatic discourse. When asked about love, he once responded, "Love is a neutral field. It happens when the soul recognizes another soul, no matter who is before you." A phrase that seems simple, but that was enough to stir up entire forums in Korea and abroad. The truth is that Gong Yoo never denied it, nor did he need to. He understands that mystery is part of his personality, and that's why fans like him so much. Each chosen role, each calculated response, reinforces an image of someone who prefers to be interpreted rather than explained. And perhaps that's where the secret lies. While the Korean industry still hesitates to openly address topics related to homosexuality, Gong Yoo already did this symbolically many years ago, and with a naturalness that transformed him into an icon. He doesn't need to define himself to continue being read in 1,000 different ways, and that's precisely what makes him so irresistible. Park Bo-gum is perhaps one of modern Korea's greatest enigmas. He combines all the characteristics of the perfect son: polite, elegant, talented, and of an almost angelic beauty. From the beginning of his career, he was molded as the example of purity, kindness, and faith. But precisely because of this impeccable image, Bo-gum ended up attracting something that cannot be controlled: the curious gaze of the public. For years, the actor was associated with the image of the good Christian boy, someone guided by spiritual values and distant from any kind of scandal. However, in South Korea, when perfection is too constant, it begins to generate distrust. and thus the rumors that still accompany his name to this day were born. Could Park Bo-gum be gay, or just a man too reserved and introspective for the media? Everything gained momentum in mid-2016 when he commented in an interview that he was waiting for God to lead him to the right person. The phrase, harmless at first glance, was interpreted by many as an indirect message about his sexuality. At the same time, his friendship with singer V from BTS became one of the most talked about topics on the Korean internet. The two were seen traveling together, posting affectionate photos, and even wearing similar accessories. The closeness, seen by some as a beautiful friendship, was read by others as something more intimate, and naturally, rumors about a possible homo-affective relationship spread. The curious thing is that even when the press questioned the nature of the friendship between them, Bo-gum chose silence. No denial, no explanation. In parallel, his church's involvement in a national controversy came to light. Although he was never accused of anything, his faith came to be examined under a magnifying glass. Many wondered if his religiosity was an attempt to repress something more intimate, an internal conflict between belief and identity. The fact is that Park Bo-gum never spoke openly about his sexuality, but the public doesn't forget. He continues to be seen as a man of enigmatic aura, someone who represents purity, but awakens a type of curiosity. For some, he is a symbol of emotional repression. For others, an example of someone who lives their own truth with discretion. What is certain is that, between glances and silences, Park Bo-gum remains one of the most discussed names when the subject is ambiguity and attraction. If there is an actor who seems to play with the boundaries of masculinity, that actor is Lee Joon-gi. From the beginning of his career, he was described as a face too beautiful for a man. And in a country where appearance and behavior are constantly associated with sexual identity, that was enough to put him under the spotlight of gay rumors. The role that changed everything came in 2005, with The King and the Clown. In that film, Lee Joon-gi played Gong Gil, a court jester with feminine features and delicate gestures who falls in love with the king. It was a bold performance, loaded with homoerotic tension, and for many, the first symbolic representation of love between men in modern Korean cinema. The performance was so intense that it generated applause, awards, and also suspicions. From there, Lee Joon-gi came to be seen as the man who wasn't afraid to explore his femininity. Photo shoots with light makeup, androgynous clothes, and elegant poses only reinforced the aura of ambiguity. Behind the scenes, he was known for treating everyone with the same affection, regardless of gender. And this naturalness made many fans interpret him as someone openly comfortable with the idea of sexual fluidity. Over time, forums and online communities began to collect videos, interviews, and his interactions with cast members. The observations ranged from poetic compliments to male actors to a lack of interest in discussing actresses with whom he acted. All of this fed the hypothesis that Lee Joon-gi would be homosexual, or at the very least, someone who doesn't fit into traditional gender standards. In 2017, a rumor about a possible relationship with another actor reignited the discussion. No concrete evidence emerged, but the absence of public denial kept the mystery alive. And perhaps it's precisely this silence that makes him so magnetic. When asked about love, he once responded, "I just want a connection. Gender, fame, all of that comes later." A phrase that neither affirms nor denies anything, but that says enough. The androgynous beauty, the melancholic gaze, and the gentle manner transformed Lee Joon-gi into an icon, not just of acting, but also of freedom. He is admired by men and women precisely because he doesn't try to fit in. And while many artists still fear labels, Joon-gi seems to live in peace with the fact of being interpreted in 1,000 different ways. Whether he's gay, bisexual, or just a man free from conventions, we may never know. But there's something undeniable. Lee Joon-gi paved the way for others to exist with more lightness. He showed that sensitivity isn't weakness, it's a form of art. Among so many Korean heartthrobs, Park Hyung-sik is the one who enchants effortlessly. He doesn't need scandals or poses. Just one look is enough to capture attention. Since the days of strong woman Do Bong-soon and Hwarang, he showed a type of sensitivity that escapes the standard of traditional protagonists, a sweet, emotional, and openly affectionate man. But it was precisely this softness that put him at the center of rumors that span years, and that many believe are related to his sexuality. Behind the scenes, Hyung-sik is known for being attentive and affectionate with everyone. Unlike other actors, he was never afraid to show affection. He hugs male colleagues, compliments without filter, laughs genuinely. In an industry accustomed to masculine rigidity, this behavior ended up generating varied interpretations, from simple charisma to possible signs of homoaffectivity. The intense friendship with Park Seo-joon is, without a doubt, the most talked about point. Since Hwarang, the two have maintained a connection that goes beyond the screen. The photos together, the declarations of affection, and the natural complicity gave birth to theories about a silent romance between them. Some fans see only a bromance. Others others, something deeper. The curious thing is that Hyung-sik never denied it, and perhaps that's the secret of his tranquility. In interviews, he talks about love openly, without clinging to genders. On one occasion, he said, "What attracts me is the peace that someone brings me, not the gender." It was enough to divide opinions, and also to consolidate his image as a symbol of a new masculinity, free and sensitive. Instead of reacting to rumors of being gay, Hyung-sik prefers elegant silence. He seems to understand that justifying himself would be the same as imprisoning himself. His tenderness became his strength, and his ambiguity, an invitation to reflection. Perhaps he's just a kind man in a world that confuses delicacy with weakness. Or perhaps, behind that constant smile, there exists someone who lives love differently, far from labels, far from the need to explain himself. What is certain is that Park Hyung-sik represents a generation that defies standards without needing to defy anyone. He doesn't confirm, doesn't deny, he just exists, with calm and truth. And in the end, perhaps that's exactly what makes him so fascinating. A man who transforms rumor into mystery and mystery into freedom.